Hello, this is Johnny.
Hello, this is Wade.
And welcome to our FUNDAY Chat.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second episode.
Wow, second episode. Time flies.
Yeah, and we have a pretty neat setup over here.
Okay, wow, yeah, we changed our place.
Yeah, looking very fresh.
Cozy. Very cozy, right?
Yeah.
So do you still remember our first episode?
First episode.
It's about studying
such a
abroad.
long time ago. Oh, we talked about studying abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
right.
moving on to another topic about studying abroad is traveling.
Traveling. And so I wanted to first start the question, I wanted to start off by asking you a question first.
Okay.
So I know many people have had this debate online for years, okay? I don't know if you've ever had this debate and if you have a stance. So, you've watched Titanic, right?
Wow, a long time ago. Right.
You probably remember because Titanic came out when you were...
When I was, I'm not going to reveal my age. So like, I'm going to keep it under wraps. Okay.
You mean you've been on the Titanic, right?
Wait, no. Actually, I created Titanic.
You made Titanic. Yeah. No. So
Okay.
Jokes aside, Titanic happened in 1912, I believe. Which was a few years before you were born, right?
A few years? Quite a few years.
All right, enough about old jokes. Okay.
1980. I was born in 1980.
1980, okay. So a while back. But anyway, everybody knows this movie. It's very famous. And so there's an age-old question that came about after this movie was released.
Oh, so what was the question about?
So the question is, could Jack have fit on the plank or the door that Rose survived on?
All right, because Rose was not on the,
okay, so for those who don't know Titanic, right? What happens in Titanic?
Like the cruise ship just bumped into an iceberg.
Hit an iceberg,
Yeah.
and then it crashed. It split in half and sunk, right? Mm-hmm. And then tons of people were in the water, and then they were struggling, and it was freezing water. I believe we looked it up earlier. It was like 26 Fahrenheit, which is like -2 Celsius.
Wow, that's freezing cold.
Freezing cold. And
Okay.
I personally like to do like cold plunge. And I do cold plunge. And when I do anything like around 12 or 15 degrees Celsius.
So what is cold plunge?
Cold plunge is like basically it's
Jump
this,
into cold water?
yeah, you like immerse yourself in cold water. And
Just for the
it's been
fun
a
of it?
trend. Yeah. Not
Okay.
necessarily only for fun. Actually, it's for health benefits. And it's been a
Oh.
trend that's been going around recently.
Oh, just like those NBA players after the game, they would just like put their feet in the cold water bucket.
It helps recover.
Oh.
Yeah. So Wim Hof is this very famous guy that he broke tons of world records because he believes in this cold therapy. And so lots of people try to reenact it by taking cold showers.
So where do you put your, body?
I personally, if I have a chance to go to like a spa, usually they have like
spa.
a cold water, and then they have the hot water.
Right.
So I try to go in between them. But the cold water that I've been under is like maybe 12 Celsius, 15 Celsius, and that is freezing. It's so cold it gets into your bones. I don't know if you've experienced that sort of coldness before.
So like 12 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay, for the temperature of the water.
Well, so for the movie, obviously they didn't allow the actors to get into that colder water. But in the real life Titanic, when it had happened, they were in -2 Celsius degree water. So that is crazy cold, right? So the thing was that scene that we're talking about, Jack and Rose, they're struggling. They get to a place, they find a plank. Jack and Rose climb on top of it. Rose gets on top of it, and when Jack tries to get up, he like kind of topples the door over.
Yeah.
So it was showing that he was too heavy. It was too heavy for both of them to be on the same door. So eventually, what does he do? He tries to save Rose because he's like, love of my life. I'm going to do everything to protect her. So he just lets her be on on the plank herself, and then he hung next to it, right?
Okay.
And then he just eventually hypothermia got to him and he passed away. Remember that scene where Rose is like, Jack, like tries to wake him up. Yeah. And then he's like,
my question is, if they could find one blanket, how can not find another one?
that's a valid point. There might have been another plank.
Yeah.
But that's a different question. Today's question is, do you think two people could have survived on that plank? Because many people, online netizens and different people have had this debate, and they said they could have survived.
Yeah,
both of them.
considering that Rose was a little bit on the plump side, people say that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
would Jack have the possibility to survive?
If she was skinnier.
If she'd have been skinnier. Right?
Wow, guys, don't cancel Johnny for saying that. No, dude, that's not a valid reason. We're talking about because essentially they conducted tests, and one of the most famous one is Mythbusters. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mythbuster.
Yeah, Mythbusters. They're this channel and these two guys that, they do a lot of physics stuff. And so they go and experiment on a lot of different things that people say, oh, this is what it would have been, what it could have been. And they conduct actual science to see if it can be done or not. And sometimes if it can't, then they'd be like, busted, myth-busted. So the myth 就是一个
myth.
Yeah,
all
myth.
right, to bust a myth.
Yeah,
to bust
exactly.
something, to crack something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, in the movie, it said they couldn't fit two people. So they designed the whole scenario again. They took out the plank, have life jackets, and then they both actually managed to fit on the same door and survive. So they said myth busted because Jack and Rose could have survived.
So that experiment was conducted by two adult men.
Two adult guys.
Okay.
And it's been actually. It's been quite a few years ago that they conducted this test. But recently we watched, because the movie was directed by James Cameron, Titanic. And recently they have their 25th anniversary, Titanic. 25 years since it's been out. Great movie. For those who haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And then you can decide for yourself whether you think Jack or Rose, if they both could have survived. But James Cameron conducted a more detailed test. And do you know what the result was?
No? What was that?
What do you think? Do you think that he could have survived? Could have Jack survived on the same plank or not?
Considering the cold weather and the cold water, maybe not.
So essentially, he tried to do different things, and they did a lot of things. Like they tried to control the temperature. They couldn't get it as cold, obviously, for the actual people, because they had doctors also stand by to make sure that these two actors, there were two people that they were more trained in the scenario to come and play Jack and Rose. And they conducted the test, and they weren't, in most scenarios, one person would sacrifice the other. So the biggest thing when it comes to cold is you want to make sure that your vital organs are above the water. So so that, because as soon as the cold water gets to the most vital organ, which is like your heart and this section, then it's much faster to shut down, right? So Jack and Rose had to do their best to try to keep themselves elevated. And at the end of the day, it said that it was possible that Jack could have survived. They couldn't both necessarily fit on the plank because it would topple over and it's not as stable. But essentially, if they both sacrificed a little bit, like their lower body to be in the water and then keeping the upper body above the water.
Just make sure your vital organs are above the water.
Yeah.
So
you'll stand a better chance. Not to say you will survive.
Make sure that the hypothermia is not taking its toll on you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you know what happens when we're getting
sense.
cold water? Like we shiver, right? Mm-hmm. And do you know why we shiver?
Shiver to get the heat?
Yeah, the heat is like leaving our body. So it's a good thing that it happens. But it doesn't feel good when you're doing it.
Thinking about that, I can see it makes sense because at that time, for the role, Rose was from a rich family, right? She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
Yeah.
So maybe she was not that considerate or thoughtful when it comes to a situation emergency like that. So.
You mean she did it on purpose?
No,
she
not
was
on
like,
purpose,
Jack,
yeah, but just she's not that considerate.
No,
yeah,
dude,
she's so used to.
You forgot about the movie. She loved Jack.
Oh, she loves.
Yeah,
Jack.
they both would have sacrificed for each other.
But when it comes to the crunch,
No. When it came crunch time, Jack was the one as his character. He wanted to make sure there was nothing that would jeopardize Rose's safety. So he wanted to make sure Rose was going to survive. That's why he stayed
he loves
in the water.
her more than she loved him.
Maybe you can put it that way.
Okay.
But it's still a beautiful story. But anyway, I think it probably worked out for the best because Jack, again, he was doing very honorably. He was trying to make sure nothing could have happened to Rose, that she had a 100% chance of trying to be rescued as opposed to trying for both of them to survive. So I think it worked out the way it did.
I think so because, for that movie, at the end of the movie, they need something to make people burst into tears.
Yeah.
If they both survive, it's not
you're like, oh, good job.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but the scene when she's like, Jack,
Right. So
she pushes him, and then you see him like bloop, 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 bloop.
Okay.
Left a
Yeah,
little
but
tear.
the experience was also very meaningful that let people know about some myths and how to
because it's
crack the
interesting.
myth.
It's interesting when movies come out, and sometimes you're like, that's a little too obvious. Like this could have never happened in real life. But in this situation, I feel like, okay, they took more things into consideration.
Okay. Yeah. So why do we talk about this? Was that because, I
Why are
heard
we
that
talking
you
about
were
this?
just back from the cruise ship tour. Actually, you've been on cruise ship tours several times.
I have actually.
I suppose that you are a big fan of cruise ship tours.
I do like cruising.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been on a cruise before?
Cruising at pubs. That kind of
Different
cruise
kind of.
now.
I'm not into that kind of cruising. No,
Don't even go there. Okay.
Yeah. No, so like you said, I have been on a couple cruises before. And today I feel like I brought up the whole Titanic situation because I just came back from a cruise.
As an icebreaker. such a long icebreaker lasting 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, it has lasted 10 minutes. Hey, but I hope it was insightful and people learned about, Titanic.
I was told that our show is only for 10 minutes.
Well, that's the end of our show. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Bye.
No. Okay. So, I just came back from the cruise and, it's very interesting because I think back, Titanic is probably one of the most iconic, most famous cruise liner, trans-ocean liner. But nowadays, cruise ships are so different. Do you know the difference between like those old transatlantic ocean liners versus the cruise nowadays?
You mean the size of it or the function?
Yeah,
the facilities
Let's go
of
with
it?
function.
Okay, I think nowadays, it's all the rage for a lot of people to get on the cruise ship tour because you can enjoy different kinds of facilities on the cruise ship, like swimming pool, even casinos. I think in the past they didn't have casino like that.
If we were watching Titanic, I think they had, right? Maybe.
Okay.
But one of the biggest things, I did some research into this. I enjoy being on cruise, but I don't know all the details about like cruise and stuff. But I did watch a couple of videos that gave some insights. And so in the past, right, when we didn't have planes, how did people travel around to get from one country to another?
By ship.
Yeah, by ship, right? And so over time, they sort of like developed it, and modern technology allowed it. The Industrial Revolution, they made it into these sharp. They had these like sharp edges. If you look at Titanic, it was very pointed, right? Had this very pointy edge.
So was that designed for breaking the ice?
To break ice or to travel fast. If you think about anything sharp,
fast.
it goes fast, right? But if you compare that to modern cruise liners, most cruise are very rounded in the front. So one of the things that they talked about is back in the days, these transatlantic ocean liners, their whole purpose was to get from point A to point B and to get there fast.
Okay.
Right? To take people from this place to that place as quick as possible. But nowadays, cruise ships, they're more rounded because they don't have to travel fast anymore.
And they don't have to like steer clear of the icebergs.
There obviously are certain places where there are ice, but for the most part, they're round. And what they're trying to accomplish now, before it was like, trying to sell people on like, hey, travel from this point to that point to get there quick. But nowadays it's more about traveling luxuriously. Right? And what things that you have described just now is what the cruise sells, right? The whole idea is to make sure that you enjoy your time, you take your time, you stop at different places. So those are some of the big differences. And I'll give you some of the stats because I have it over here. So if we compare the Titanic to the currently, I think the biggest cruise ship right now is by the Royal Caribbean crew, and it's called the Icon of the Sea. So Titanic had 10 decks. How many decks do you think the Icon of the Sea has?
Icon of the Sea.
Yeah, so that's the name of the boat.
Okay,
I don't know. Take a guess.
Maybe 12?
20.
20, okay.
20, double.
Wow.
Double the decks of Titanic. The Titanic was 882.5 feet long. How long do you think the Icon of the Sea is? It's much bigger. I'll give you that hint.
So
Titanic was 882.5.
Okay. 100,000.
Are you even trying to guess? You're just making things up.
Okay.
It's 1,197.5 feet long.
Okay. Wow.
So much longer than Titanic.
Much longer.
And Titanic could host a capacity of 2,435 people. How many people do you think can fit
Do you have to ask me
on the icon of
all
the
the
sea?
questions
Yes,
about
we
the
want to
comparison?
see. We want to see how good Johnny is at gauging.
That's a stark contrast to that.
No, tell us.
Let me put that way.
Yeah, give us a number.
Okay, what was the previous one?
Titanic, 2,435.
Oh, 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay, 4,000. Double the number. Okay, 5,000. Oh, 8,000.
7,000 plus.
7,000. Okay.
So it's pretty crazy from the Titanic to an ocean cruise liner now.
So 7,000. So
7,000.
How many passengers now were on your boat, on your ship?
So the one I'm talking about, Icon of the Sea, that's the largest. The one I went on is called the MSC, and it's called Bellissima. And it's the largest cruise ship that's docked in Taiwan so far.
Actually, the other day I was, scrolling through the Instagram, and I also saw that one of my college friends, she's also on the cruise ship.
The same one?
Yeah, the same one as yours.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. The what?
Bellissima.
Bellissima. Right?
Yeah.
Bellissima.
She just went on the one like
Exactly. I think the same one. But what a coincidence,
dude. There's like again.
World.
Oh, you asked about how many people? We
had
how many
people?
5,000.
5,000.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's not likely.
It's not like
not likely to run into each other because here's the thing: you would think you would try to consider, right? You'd be like, how do you fit 5,000 to 7,000 people on a cruise, like on a boat? That's
actually,
moving.
I asked you the same question. Like, you said there are a few swimming pools because when it comes to cruise ship, people will think of swimming pools and sunshine and enjoy soaking up some rays in the swimming pool. That's the luxury part.
Yeah.
And for 5,000 people, just for a small part of them, if they want to go to the swimming pool, will that be jam packed with people?
Yeah. So each pool, we all just try to like link arms. And then we all like count
Are you sure?
count to 3.
You're pulling my leg,
and we
right?
go down together, and we swim 1, 2, 1 together. Yeah, and we just take turns. Every hour we have like 100 people can go. 100 people.
I thought you were going to say like if you wanted to swim, you just dive right into the ocean.
Oh yeah, you could. Ocean is so big, yeah, limitless, it's full of space. No.
So I will buy that story.
So obviously the cruise has, especially bigger ones, have multiple like central locations, and they have different pool decks. And there's also ones where there's like more private pools.
Okay.
And then there's also they have multiple jacuzzis. I think on the one I was just on, we had.
How many people were there? When it's most crowded, when the swimming pool is most crowded.
So obviously they have a pool like outdoors and they have indoor pool. And I would say honestly, the pools don't get too crowded. Typically, like when we're watching, when we're walking about, because you'll always pass the different section. The cruise typically maybe there was like 10 people in one pool. And it's more like children, children with their parents. And I didn't really swim this time. I just used the jacuzzi, but yeah, there's. You would be so surprised because everyone is so spaced out at different locations at all times. Some people might be eating, some people might be at the buffet, some people at a restaurant.
Right.
So you don't really feel like you're super crowded. Although you do feel like, okay, there are a lot of people.
Yeah, so what is your favorite facility on the cruise ship?
My favorite facility, I think is, I really enjoy the shows. I think it's pretty cool to, just watch the entertainment stuff. And then I do enjoy the buffet restaurant because it's unlimited. You just eat as much as you want. But I think my favorite facility is the gym.
Okay, the gym.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I like working out, and I think it's pretty cool and interesting when you're on the cruise ship and you're like watching and you're overlooking different. I mean, you're just like looking at the ocean because you have a beautiful view.
Wow, that kind of experience is out of this world, right?
Pretty unique.
Yeah, you can enjoy working out at the same time you can,
beautiful view.
The ocean stretches out as far as I can see.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I do enjoy that part. Let me quickly list a couple of pros and cons. But actually, before I do that, I would like to find out, because you haven't been on a cruise yet. you cruise
Not
bars
yet, simply
only.
because I tend to get seasick very easily. People say that if you are, you have a great sense of balance, it's easier for you to feel seasick. Even I was on a fishing boat. There was one time
I have great sense of balance and I don't get seasick.
I don't know. People say that. Okay, so there was one time I was in the middle of the ocean. We went on the fishing trip with my previous boss, and then we killed the engine in the middle of the ocean to do the deep ocean fishing.
Yeah.
And I was seasick immediately right off the bat.
But that's a smaller ship, right?
Smaller ship, right?
Like a smaller boat.
Yeah, it's
So
killing me.
I will say some of the con for being on sea is when the water is very choppy.
Yeah.
You can't feel it, but again, on a cruise ship that big, it's very big, so it's actually pretty sturdy. You don't feel
So
it
you
as
don't
much.
have to take the pills before you.
You
get on
can
board.
if you feel like you are worried and concerned about it, but I would say it's pretty sturdy, and it's really nice when you're sleeping.
Oh.
Do you remember when you were a kid and then your parents would do this?
Like in the womb, right?
Dude, I'm telling you, when you're sleeping on the bed, you're just like, and I go to sleep so well when I'm on the cruise.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can still feel the motion.
So you still feel some of it, and then it's even funnier because afterwards you feel also the motion when you're on land. Yeah, like once you get off, you still sometimes you're walking and you're like, oh.
In that regard, I think I have to take some pills.
Pills,
for that.
yeah.
Before that,
But honestly, that's not such a big concern because I think if you take a pill, you should be fine.
you know what? There was one thing I would like to mention. When I was on a honeymoon trip with my wife in Hawaii. At that time she was pregnant. Okay. And we went on a ship. It's a ferry. Where we can enjoy buffet on the ferry. Okay. And then we went out, out of the harbor to enjoy the tour at the same time.
Watching the beautiful view.
And after maybe 30 minutes after we ate dinner, she was she was seasick and feeling like throwing up. And, for the rest of the trip, it was
miserable.
Yeah, she was throwing up for the rest of it.
Okay, honestly, that is one of the worst situations.
Exactly.
I think if you do get seasick very easy, and if you do get seasick on a cruise, it just ruins your whole trip.
That's the reason why I will have difficulty persuading my wife to go on a cruise ship tour with me.
Here, let me quickly list out the pros and cons as we finish off over here, and then you can consider. Because ultimately, I think everyone, if you can, should try it out. It's actually a very fun way to travel. So
especially watching you enjoying all the cruise ship tours.
I
would like to give it a whirl.
Here's the thing. Let's start off with the cons. Okay, so seasickness, as you mentioned, is one thing that is very miserable. I had an aunt that joined us on a cruise. She got seasick, and then for the remainder of time, all they can tell you to do, you take the medicine, and then you kind of just lay in bed.
Oh, you one of your friends?
One of my aunts.
Friends? Oh, your aunt. Okay.
Yeah. And then another thing is if you're a little bit claustrophobic, it can feel a little bit like you're trapped because you're literally on the ship and then there's nowhere else you can go. Right, so it's big enough to get
jump the ship, right?
You know what? There was many times that in the evening time, because we had a little balcony, I would open the door and I'd go outside and I would look down, and I'd be like, if I jump right now, nobody would know.
Oh yeah. Will people in FUNDAY miss me? Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe they don't even know I'm gone.
Maybe they will because they need me to write the news.
No, but it's just so crazy because it's like completely dark, and then if you jump, you won't even be heard, right? Like nobody's gonna hear you. You would be screaming, and probably people would just be like, they won't even notice because like if you shut the doors, you can't really hear.
Were there anyone patrolling to make sure that people?
That's the thing. So it's incredible how, it's like everyone has to be on their best behavior because I couldn't imagine if you had jumped off and if nobody saw, like later on, they'd just be like, oh, where's this guy from the cabin? Like, knock, knock, knock.
So they need to make sure that people are not suicide prone. Okay, they're not suicide prone.
All right, we took a little dark turn here, but let me mention some other stuff. Some of the other cons, I think, is that you do have limited time when you do dock at different ports. So like this trip we went to Japan.
Oh, right.
And
go on a shopping spree.
Yeah, you can you have like about half a day to go out and explore, but it's a very limited time. So if you want to go and travel and like really see a place, you can't really take your time. You have to go there where you are, and you can't go too far because you have to come back to the ship. So that's one of the negative side.
So the outlet is within walking distance of the harbor?
Distance. No, you would have to drive or get a bus or
get
taxi.
A bus.
Yeah.
So the main attraction was to the outlet.
For me, this trip, to Japan. And I mean, obviously food. The food in Japan is delicious. Yeah, very, very good. So I'd recommend.
Scrumptious.
Another thing is that there would be no internet unless you purchased.
Oh,
so
no internet.
It could be a good thing and a bad thing because the internet, sometimes we need to disconnect. So I think it depends how you see it.
It's kind of like feel cut off from the outside world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then again, sometimes certain places can feel a little bit crowded. So, that's some of the negative side.
Okay.
Very quickly, I'll tell you the pros. I love cruising because it covers everything, right?
Ooh.
So when you're traveling to Japan or you're flying to another country, you have to take a plane, then they weigh your luggage and you have limited space. Then you have to sit in a crowded spot, and then you get to the place, and then you have to go pick your luggage. Sometimes you need to transit, so it's very tiresome. And then you get to your location, right? When you're cruising, you're doing the exact same thing, but you're just enjoying yourself. You're in a relaxed state. You have your stuff in the cabin, even though it might not be big, but you just have your stuff in the cabin, and then you can go and just enjoy hanging out. And then the next day, you arrive at your destination. So that's a very fun way to travel. And then there's also no weight limit. So you're only allowed to have one luggage, but you can fill it up as much as you want. We've even seen people go to Japan, buy a Panasonic TV, a big screen TV, and then, carry it onto the ship.
Okay.
Because there's no weight limit. So that's another pro. And then great things that I mentioned earlier. Also, they have great food. And then fun entertainment, and it's a fun and relaxing way to travel. So I would highly recommend you and your wife. Do you think you can convince her now after all the things
exactly?
I've mentioned?
I think especially considering the price right now is not very high. For traveling to Japan, and you can go on a shopping spree. You can buy a lot of good bargains.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a wise option.
Yeah. So Taiwan currently, the crews that come to Taiwan, mostly the crews would go to Korea or Japan. And so those are some of the places and it's usually a 5-day cruise. So I think, when you do get a chance, I would highly recommend that you and your wife, you can take your kids too, because that's actually for all ages, which is really nice.
Actually, I'm thinking about going on the round the world tour, round the world cruise ship.
Yes.
Is that anything like that?
They do have
round the world cruise ship.
They do actually have round the world cruise ship, but that's more for people who have retired. Because they actually go for months. I think maybe half a year or at least over 3 months. And typically when they're doing that, they are just traveling to all sorts of locations, stopping much longer actually at port. But that is also a much more pricier, for budget wise. But typically it's people who've retired because it's very chill. All they do is they go on board. Everything's taken care of. Every day they come and clean your room. Every day there's buffet.
Okay.
Every day you just get to go to a new place. So I would say maybe when you retire, you can consider doing that with your wife.
I think I could do that now because I think I'm quite chill here.
Well, not just that. I think you're old enough to retire. So, well, anyway. Okay, so that is for this episode. I hope you guys also enjoyed and learned some more stuff about the cruising stuff and Titanic. Let us know. You can also comment and tell us about what you think. Jack and Rose could have survived or not. And if you have been on a cruise, let us know.
Yeah. So, okay. See you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.